welcome back YouTube. I'm going to start going through a muscle building series, okay? So a series of videos going through everything we need to know to help us gain weight and put muscle on, okay? Gaining muscle, there are a lot of different factors that come into play. So rather than doing one very long video, instead I'm going to break it up into multiple shorter ones. And today I'm going to try and go through everything that you really need to focus on and concern yourself with when it comes to nutrition towards building muscle mass. If you do enjoy the video, please do drop a like. If you've got any questions, throw them down below. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. Okay, first and foremost, as we always do when we look at nutrition, the main thing we have to consider is the energy balance that we're in, okay, and therefore calories. So energy balance is just comparing how much we're taking in, the amount of calories we're taking in comparison to how many calories we're burning, we're expending, okay? Now, when it comes to building muscle mass, you want to essentially put your body in a situation or an energy balance where you're then going to have enough of an energy excess or surplus to be able to go towards building muscle mass and helping you recover as best as you can, okay? Now, that is likely going to be being in a calorie surplus, or you could argue you could even potentially build muscle mass within a maintenance, so that's where your energy intake is matched with your expenditure. But a surplus, can be a slight surplus, is still going to be beneficial because it's going to give you that little bit more excess energy, okay? So the first thing you need to do is make sure and work out the amount of calories you need to be taking in to ensure that you're at least at maintenance, if not in a slight calorie surplus, okay? So things you want to be looking for to ensure you are within this sort of energy balance is essentially, obviously tracking your food intake on some level, okay? It doesn't have to be tracking calories down to the T. However, obviously the more accurate you are with tracking calories, probably the better you're going to find it in terms of level of results and making fine adjustments. But what you basically want to be seeing is you want to be seeing your weight slowly increase over time, okay? If your weight isn't slowly increasing over time, chances are you're just not in a calorie surplus and your food intake needs to increase, okay? Now again, the size of the surplus doesn't need to be big, so we don't need to be gaining weight quickly, okay? Gaining muscle mass is a very slow process. It takes a lot of time, okay? To do it naturally, it is slow. You've got to be patient with it. So if your weight is increasing maybe 1 to 2 pounds a month, that might be fine, okay? That might be the slight surplus you need to be accumulating muscle mass over time, okay? So as long as your weight is creeping up, then where you are in terms of calories and your energy balance is in a good place. Just to quickly mention while we're on this, when you are in a surplus, when you are gaining body weight, and obviously trying to gain muscle mass alongside that, you will accumulate some body fat along the way. Not all that excess energy is going to go towards building muscle mass, okay? Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You will likely gain some body fat along the way. So, again, like I just said, if your weight's creeping up by 1 to 2 pounds a month and you think that's relatively slow, that's not a bad thing, because we do want to be obviously limiting the amount of body fat that we are accumulating. We don't want our body weight to be going up too fast, where body weight is climbing up too fast, because if that's the case, we're definitely going to have to pull back sooner than we would like to bring those body fat levels back down. Okay, so with your calories and the surplus you're in, you want to find that sweet spot where you are still in that slight surplus, so weight is going up over time, but it's at a nice controlled pace. So again, 1 to 2 pounds a month. And if you're relatively new to it, you might even get like 3 pounds, and you might be able to get away with a rate like that. But anywhere around there, you're probably going to be okay. Okay, secondly, protein. A lot of people get carried away with protein, and they think that protein is the be-all and end-all. Now, protein is obviously important, not when it comes to building muscle mass, but just general health and function, and we want to be making sure we're eating enough. However, when you are in a calorie surplus and you've got excess energy, protein probably doesn't need to be as high as most people actually think, okay? A general rule of thumb for a good place for protein to be in, no matter what your goal, is 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. Okay, so take your weight in body weight and then basically times it by 0.8 to 1.2, and that's going to be the amount of grams you want to hit in protein day to day. Okay, now when you're in a surplus, when you're looking at trying to gain weight, muscle mass over time, you can probably keep protein down towards the lower end. This sort of 0.8 end of the scale, you're going to be fine at. If you want to go a little bit higher to be safe, then you can do if you want, but you don't need to go towards the top end of that scale. Anywhere within the scale down towards the bottom, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, thirdly, looking at carbs and fats. Now, in all honesty, this doesn't need to get complicated, and again, people will try and complicate it. The most important thing is the calories and the protein that we've just spoken about. Okay, being consistent with those two things is the most important thing. However, if you want to get, the best results you're looking for, if you want to get those extra small percentages, my advice would be to try and prioritize carbs over fats. Okay, so maybe for the remaining calories that you've got once you've hit your protein, the majority of those calories coming from carbohydrates. Okay, carbohydrates have more anabolic building properties, so therefore going to be favourable towards going towards building muscle mass. And they're also going to be great for energy and recovery. Okay, so I would prioritize carbohydrates over fats. However, having said that, fat intake is obviously still important. We still want to be hitting, a minimum amount. We still want to be making sure we're trying to get in good quality fats, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. So we want to be making sure our fat quality intake is still decent. But as a general rule of thumb, I would prioritize carbs over fats. Okay, I do have other videos where I break down macros in detail if you wanted to get these in sort of numbers. So go and check those out. But in a general sense, I don't want to make this video too long. Personally, I would prioritize carbs over fats for the remainder of the calories you have once protein's been hit. But do make sure that your fat intake is still of good quality. Okay, and then lastly with nutrition. Don't forget, even when you come into building muscle mass, nutrition quality still matters. So the quality of the food that you're getting in. Okay, so whether that's the quality of the protein, carbs and fats you're getting, they still want to be decent. Okay, that's making sure that we're including a decent amount of vegetables and fruits within our diet. Okay, we still want to be making sure we're getting those vitamins, minerals, those micronutrients within our diet. We don't want to just be going all out on food that is low in quality, because one, the nutritional quality is still going to go towards helping us build muscle mass, but two, if we're excluding those sort of things, we're going to feel like shit in all honesty, and therefore that's not going to be very productive towards our goal either. We want to feel the best we can to therefore train as best we can, recover as best we can, and therefore get the best results we can. So make sure your nutrition quality is still very good. Now, do bear in mind, this doesn't mean that you can't have food that is lower in nutrition. Obviously, moderation is important. We want to be making sure that we're having good nutritious food, but also, especially in this case with muscle building, where some people's calories need to be very, very high, picking some foods that are, let's say, low in nutrients, like the nutritious quality is quite low, but the calories are quite high and going to help us hit that calorie target. There might be a place for them within your diet. So moderation is key. And I'm not saying that 100% of our diet should be completely nutritious and we can't have, let's say less nutritious here and there, food here and there. We can. Moderation's key, but just don't forget about the nutritious foods. Don't forget about that good quality food within our diet. So there you have it. That's nutrition made simple for building muscle mass. Remember, it doesn't actually need to get complicated. It doesn't need to be very, very detailed, especially if you're just starting out and you want to nail the basics. These are the basics, okay? If you did find this video helpful, please do drop a like. If you've got any questions on any of this, throw them down in the comments below. Like I said, this is going to be a series, so I'll be going through stuff like training for building muscle mass, stuff like sleep or recovery. I'll go through it all, so there'll be more videos to come. But hopefully this has given you a good idea of where your nutrition needs to be, at least for the basics, okay? If you haven't already, please do subscribe so you can keep up to date with this series and other videos that I put out. I'll catch you on the next one.